hope you're well and having the most incredible day. As always, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we are going to be going through all the books I read in September. Now, I did only manage to get through 7 books, which to some of you guys that might seem like a lot, to some of you it might seem like hardly anything. I personally feel like I really love to hit about the 10 book mark a month if I can. However, one of these books took me about a week to read. It was such a hard, slow burn book, which if you guys have read it, you may find that you agree with me, but I will go through that in a bit more detail when we get to that book in a minute. But yeah, I read 7 books. I want to share with you what I read, my thoughts on them, my opinions, the star rating that I'm going to give it, and just go through what I read. So without further ado, we are going to dive right in. I hope you guys enjoy and carry on watching. So the first book that I read in September was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I find it really hard to give you guys in-depth reviews of books that I read a month ago, because I'm not gonna lie, I've read so many different stories since then I forget kind of what happened. But this is about Hazel and Josh, obviously, and essentially they knew each other in college, and then like 10 years, is it 10 years later? I think 10 years later or something like that, they kind of reconnect again, and they make this deal where they basically set each other up on lots of blind dates as a double date. So they both go together and they end up basically trying to go on loads of different dates with people and to find their significant other, I suppose. And obviously this is like a friends to lovers kind of vibe. They end up growing feelings, and it's really good because you read from both perspectives, so it is a dual POV, and I love that because you can kind of see what each character is thinking before they've announced it to the other one. So it is really, really good. I really liked this. I actually rated this one a 5-star because I found it really easy to read. I read it really quickly, and it was such a good book. I really love Christina Lauren's writing style. I think that they write books really, really well, and they're really captivating and easy to read, so I definitely recommend this one. I picked it up on a whim. I think I got it from the works, again, as always, for like £3 to £5, and I picked it up because the cover was beautiful, so don't let the cover fool you. It's a beautiful book, and yeah, I definitely recommend this one. So a 5-star read for the first one. Loved it. The second book I read in September was Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But this is the second book in the Twisted series by Anna, and honestly, this book was so incredibly good. This one was about Reese and Bridget. I have to remember the names because I'm going to forget. So Bridget is essentially a real-life princess. She is a legitimate princess of her own country, and Reese is her bodyguard, which you do get introduced to in the first book, so make sure you read these in order. And it is more of it's not an enemies to lovers really, but they don't particularly get on because she loved her old bodyguard a lot, and they got on really, really well. So they were kind of enemies, but not particularly because they didn't necessarily hate each other. It was just more of an awkward friendship, if that makes sense. But obviously they grow to really, really love each other. It is quite a spicy book, I'm not gonna lie, but they go back to her country. She has a lot of twists and turns kind of in the path. Obviously a princess would be expected to marry a royal, so it is really, really good, and I did really enjoy it. I think it was about it's over 400 pages long. Oh, dropped it. But I really love this book, and again, this was a 5-star read for me. I love the Twisted series so much, and that is why I'm reading probably 1 book a month from the series, because I don't want to get over it so quick. So that was Twisted Games, a definite favourite of mine for the month. I really love this one. Next up we have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Now, I think I got this one, I definitely got it from the works, and again, I think it was £3, an absolute bargain. So I picked it up because I think Kelsey read this book, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first started reading, I read this in less than a day. It is a very small book. It has just over 200 pages, so it's a real easy read. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started reading this, I was so confused. I had no idea really what was going on, and essentially it's about a girl who, I can't even remember what her name is, to be quite honest with you, and it doesn't tell you on the back either, but it's about a girl who goes through some trauma one summer on an island style I envisioned it in as an island, but with all her family. And then she doesn't really remember much from what happened that summer, and then a few summers later they go back, and she's with her friends, and she's trying to figure out what actually happened that summer because nobody will tell her. And the ending I was absolutely shocked with. That is why I gave this 4 stars, because the first half of the book I was so confused, and it was definitely like a 2-star read for me. I found it really difficult to read. I had no idea what was going on, and you'll probably find that too when you read this. I feel like it's just very, not confusing, but some of it doesn't make any sense, and I just can't. But anyway, when you get to the end and you find out what actually happened and what is going on, I was absolutely shocked. I could not believe it, but I loved it. I thought this was really clever. There is another one called, is it We Were Family or Family of Liars or something like that? There is a second book which I might actually pick up, but I've only seen it as a hardback, so I can't pick that up in hardback because I don't like a hardback. But yeah, I am really, really impressed with this book. I loved it. I thought it was very clever, and just something really different for me. So it wasn't a romance or anything like that, but it was just really good. So yeah, We Were Liars got 4 stars from me. Next up, we have The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this book, I did really enjoy it. It was a different writing style again, because I don't think I've read a book from Helen before. I gave this one, what did I give it? 4 stars, and I really did like this book. Essentially, this one is about Stella and Michael. So Stella, she has autism, and I believe you find out at the start of the book, so don't let that be a spoiler or anything. You do find it out very early on. So she suffers with autism, and she doesn't have a boyfriend, and her parents are very active in trying to find her a partner to make her happy and that kind of thing. So she decides to take matters into her own hands and get in touch with, I'm not going to give it away, but it's an escort service. I'm just going to tell you, it's an escort service. So essentially she gets in touch with a service where she can hire Michael, not necessarily to perform services that you would expect, but more so to be a practice boyfriend. And you can kind of see where this is going. It's kind of like a strangers to lovers sort of vibe, and I really, really love this book. I just didn't give it 5 stars, I think, because I'm not really sure why I didn't give it 5 stars. I think it's one of those books where I probably wouldn't feel the urge to read it again ever, but it was a really good book that I would recommend, so that's why I gave it 4. But yeah, that's The Kiss Quotient. I've got 2 other books by Helen as well, which is The Bride Test and The Heart Principle, so I am excited to read those. But yeah, this one was really good. Again, 4 stars. I just liked it. It was good. The next book is which caused my reading slump for the month, and that was The Spanish Love Deception. Now, I know what you're thinking. This book is amazing. It's so good. And this book is amazing. When you probably get to about 300 pages in, this book is insane. Such a good book, but I feel like nothing really happened through the first 3/4 of this book. So this is basically about, I just need to check the names again because I can't even remember. What is your name? Is it Aaron? Yes, okay, so we've got Catalina, who is, she's a girl, she's Spanish, she works in an office with a guy called Aaron, and essentially what it is Catalina is going to a family member's wedding, her sister. She hasn't got a boyfriend, her ex actually has a new fiance, so she doesn't want to go there alone, so she ends up taking Aaron, but they have a deal previously for Aaron's benefit, which is what is kind of going on in the first 3/4 of the book, which I get, and I feel like it is necessary, but also like I thought the whole book was going to be in Spain and kind of the whole Spanish vibe. You know what I mean? Which is why I give this one 3 stars. And I know that seems really harsh, but I just feel it put me in a slump. It took me about a week to read. It's 450 pages long, and 400 of those pages were just a little bit boring. I just didn't really love it, and that is why I give it 3 stars. So that is The Spanish Love Deception. Now, I would recommend it. I like the style of writing. I thought, you know, the spicy scenes were great, and the kind of descriptions and stuff was brilliant. I just thought that the first half was just not the best, not necessary, a waste of time to read. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't love it. But if you want a nice book to read, like, I don't know, I want to recommend it, but I didn't love it. Does that make sense? Like, it was good and I don't regret reading it, but I was just a little bit disappointed because of how hyped up it was. So that's The Spanish Love Deception by Eleanor Armas. I don't think I said. I do have The American Roommate Experiment to read, which I still am excited to read, but I'm a little bit nervous after reading this one. So I'll let you guys know what I think of that when I read it. But yeah, that one is a 3 stars. The next book is actually the last book I read in the month. Before I go on to my absolute favourite book of the month, I am going to go through this one. So this is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Now, I actually decided to put all the names of books in a jar and pick them out at random, and that is why I picked this one, because I've been putting this book off for months because I feel like it was so hyped up on TikTok and on YouTube. I just felt like I didn't want to read it and have my expectations not met. Does that make sense? But this book was so good. I cannot even describe how good this book was. It had no spice in it, really, which you guys know I love a bit of spice. So for me, I just thought I wouldn't love it. But this was just incredible. This was such a good book. So essentially, without giving away too much of the details, it's about a woman called Evelyn. She's quite old now. She's probably nearly 80 years old. And she gets a reporter, journalist to come in essentially to interview her for their magazine. However, she wants her to actually write a biography all about Evelyn's life, and she sits her down and goes through every aspect of her life, goes through all the 7 husbands, why they married, why it ended, and it was just such a captivating book. I absolutely loved this. It kind of goes through decades as well, so she kind of starts in the 40s, 50s, and it goes all the way up to the 2000s, and you get to find out a lot about Evelyn's life, and she had a very heartbreaking life. Like, a lot of it was really sad to read, because I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but there are some sad moments in this book, and it is just a really interesting read to think that some celebrities probably have gone through something similar, especially when it comes to hiding truths and stuff like that. It is just so good. I actually gave this one 5 stars because I loved it that much. I thought it was so brilliant, and I'm really interested in reading more of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I don't know whether I said it was by Taylor Jenkins Reid or not, but it was. I actually got Daisy Jones and the Six recently, so I'm really excited to read that. But I loved it. The only thing with this I didn't love is that the font is very small, which made me feel like it took me ages to kind of get through a page or two. But I loved it. I think I read this within about 3 days, and it was just so brilliant. So that is that one. I loved it. And last but by no means least is my favourite book of the month. I thought I would save it till last because I feel like I'm going to talk about this one for a very long time, and this is Win, Lose, Kill, Die by Cynthia Murphy. I mentioned this in my September favourites. I absolutely loved this book so much. The plot twist at the end, I want to tell you what happens, but I won't because I cannot spoil it for you, is insane. I actually messaged about 4 of my friends and said, you need to read this book. Like, it is one of the best mystery sort of books I've ever read in my life, and essentially what it's about, I can't remember what her name is now. What is her name? Liz? Yes, her name is Liz. So you're reading from Liz's perspective. She goes to a boarding school in the UK, and she's part of this secret society. That's not a big plot twist or anything. You kind of find that out right at the start, but she's part of this secret society where there's a head girl and head boy, and the head girl all of a sudden dies, so she is replaced with another student who also then dies, and it becomes a very weird murder mystery, like what is happening. And honestly, the plot twist at the end, I was so shocked. I could not believe it. I did not expect it whatsoever, and I think honestly, if you want a good mystery, this is brilliant. I can't go about it too much because this video will be 30 minutes of me just like gushing over this book. 5-star read easily. If I could give it more, I would give it 1,000,000 stars. This is hands down the best book I've read all year. I cannot get over how good this book was, and I wish I could read it again for the first time because I was just shocked. And I know that Cynthia Murphy has another book out already and another one coming out in January. Definitely gonna have to pick those up because it was just insane. Best book of the month. Win, Lose, Kill, Die. If you want a good book, I know a lot of you guys actually purchased A Good Girl's Guide to Murder because of me. Please buy this book because this was better than that. The end of this book was insane. I will say that some of the death scenes in this book can be quite graphic, but not graphic enough to make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. It was just a little bit on the descriptive side. So yeah, insane. Loved this book. 1,000,000 out of 10. Please buy it. Let me know down below if you pick it up. It was £8, So it's the best £8 I've ever spent. I loved it. So those are all of the books that I read throughout September. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I would love to know down below what you read in September, what you thought of them down below. I do have a Goodreads and an Amazon wishlist in the description, so if you want to see what I've read, what I want to read and what I want to buy, do check those out down below. But that is everything. I hope you guys had a fantastic day today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!